Good morning, traders. It is one of those mornings. I opened up the wrong stream and started talking to no one. Good morning. Today is Thursday, May 5th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Okay, well, what are we looking at from yesterday? Yesterday's big push higher was just a combination of short covering and FOMO buying. We know that because of how thin the volume is that we left behind yesterday. So we don't generally trust that kind of move. We assume the market will need to pull back looking for support because it's just too much excess all at once, and excess leads to balance. There's two ways to balance off excess. The market can pull back with price to balance it off, or it can push higher, rotate at higher prices, and use time to balance it off. So the main focus, man, I'm sorry, I'm getting at this late here. My main focus this morning is literally right where the price opened, which is the base of the spike up. Opening inside the spike is a little bit bullish for continuation to the upside. So if we can find support literally right here where the price is right now, around 42.49, that will be good for continuation to the upside. If this level breaks and we start to trade lower, I would target getting down here towards the base of the single prints at 42.10, just because they need backfilling, right? That's very weak. The fact that we had such thin volume and spent such little time there yesterday, the market might need to backfill those. And of course, then we're looking for support right at the base of those single prints up. That also brings into play, man, this is so much to cover so quick. I'm sorry, guys. That also brings into play the balance area. So we know that with balance areas, when you look below them and fail, you head up to the opposite end. When you look above it and fail, you head to the opposite end. When you look below it and fail, you head up to the opposite end. Well, yesterday we looked above. So if we don't immediately find support this morning and try to break out to the upside, we increase the odds that we're heading back down to the opposite end of balance. So again, to me, a trade on a break from this level to head down to here is a good safe bet and high probability. And then looking for support, because they may need to head all the way down to the lows. Probably not. Probably we would find support here and bounce there. But the risk of downside here today is pretty high considering the look above of the balance area and the weakness of the single prints. Okay. So basically just looking to get down to 42.09 and then monitor for continuation lower from there. If the market does find support in here and start to trade back higher, you got resistance right here around that balance area high, 42.95. So if the market can't get back above there, once again, we target the opposite end of balance. But if it is able to get through, come back down and find support, we look for continuation to the upside. All right, man, it took a mouthful to get through all that, but I did it in 2 minutes. So long story short, this level breaking right now increases the odds we're heading down looking for support around 42.09. But if they can bring in support up here, if they can hold up the price up here, continuation up towards yesterday's high. Overnight inventory was net short. It was completely net short. So we would expect some kind of counter auction to the upside this morning, giving those traders who were short in the overnight a chance to take profits and get out of their trade. So not getting any kind of counter auction, which we have not, right? We opened and have just gone straight down, is a little bit bearish to see. But we want to give those ticks a chance to absorb that overnight activity. So the ticks opened all the way down here below -1,000. So there is pretty good odds that they want to push back up towards the 0 line. And what price does as the ticks work their way higher will tell us a story, right? If price doesn't really move higher, but the ticks do, you know that's the overnight traders taking profits on their shorts. And obviously, if the ticks continue to trend lower, that would be bearish. All right, so this is that example where the ticks are working their way higher, but the price isn't really going with it. So that is probably, the buying in here is probably more shorts covering than new money buyers stepping in. So that's a little bit bearish to see. They do have bad taper at the high, though, so they should get at least one little push up in there. And if they don't, that would be very bearish. If you have not yet, please smash that like button. Got 120 people here, only 36 likes. Sure would appreciate a thumbs up. New sellers piling on. This is bearish. Obviously, pushing down into the single prints here in the K period would increase the odds that we're going to head to the bottom, but it will probably be a slow grind because we have a lot of volume in here. So they're probably, it's the middle of a balance area, so they'll probably have to really work their way lower. More new sellers. Man. So I'm looking for the market to get a little push up here, get a little, more taper on the high and resistance right around 42.58. If they do, they should get those ticks back to the zero line, and then we'll have a clear signal of whether or not new sellers want to take the market lower or not. Charles, why isn't this bullish? Well, it's because of how intense that overnight activity was. That much of being net short tells me that this is probably not new buyers here. This is probably people exiting those shorts. And so all it will take is running out of those people. All the people who want to get out of those shorts, they run out, and then there's no new buyers trying to take the market higher. And then what does it do? Heads lower, looking for new buyers. So the only thing at this point that will get me, bullish that we're heading back up towards the high is those ticks getting above the zero line and staying there. Other than that, I am of the opinion that there are not new buyers. All right, I'm bearish. There's no two ways about it. They don't have the buyers. Like I said, getting into these single prints, it will be a very slow grind. It's not like the market's going to liquidate and instantly fall down there. But once you re-enter those single prints, you increase the odds that they need to backfill. So we may be looking at a very slow melt lower. Good morning, FRM, Eldora, Arthur, good morning to you. Rev, greetings. Cyrus, hello. Caffeine, good morning. Trading Donkey, good morning. A lot of money to be made, always. Amir, good morning, good morning. Happy Cinco. Is it Cinco de Mayo? Man, how do I not know about any of these holidays anymore? I'm so disconnected from the world. It is. Oh, man. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Salutations, Courtman. Good to see you. The Shaw in the house. Welcome. Scooball. Hello to you. T-Bay, good morning. David Glass, welcome. Jason S. back with us. Been a minute, bro. Rocky, good morning. RK Leon, good to see you. Cyber, good morning to you. Hustler Forever, good morning. JB in the house, good to see you. Amir, looks like we still might be opening up in the spike. Yeah, we barely opened up to the tick right at the low of that spike. But obviously that has failed to act as support. TV, good morning to you. Greg H, hi. Joss Lash, good morning to you. Dean in the house. Scooball, balance area or trend up with spike up? Well, we just take these things one step at a time. We didn't know when the market opened this morning what it was going to do. It could have just as easily, one way you balance off excess is you trade at a higher price. It could have just as easily found support and tried to break out. But now that it didn't, that's bearish, right? Because it looked above, increasing the odds it'll head to the opposite end. Like I said, I don't know it'll quite make it to the opposite end today. I think the furthest we'd do is those big volume nodes from yesterday. But it is bearish to see. So, I don't know that we'll get down to 41.52. We may find support right around, 41.82 or even up here at 42.09. But that look above and fail is a signal. Jack, J, and Philip, welcome, welcome. MW in the house, good to see you. Jitting ping pong between 42 and 43. I guess you could look at it like that. Juan, good morning to you. Pavel, welcome. Man, I'm going to have to stop saying good morning to people. The channel is growing. Jocko, good morning to you. Boss man, welcome. Donkey, 34, halfback, and 16. See anything else out there? $34 halfback and 16. Are you talking about support? Oh, support inside the single prints. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a slow grind to get through this. This has been the middle of that balance area. So just tons and tons of volume is traded here. Gonna take some effort to get through it. But yeah, lots of support in here. Chavis, good morning to you. Trading Donkey, why do you say new sellers? Because the overnight inventory was net short. So when the price couldn't get higher, it had to be new sellers piling on to take the price lower. How's your fade the banner bot doing right now, Donkey? Are you long from up at 46? That's a 10-point loss. I didn't know you took stops that big. WSS, will you give the 50% fib any consideration? Yeah, the 50% fib is a great great support, but it just depends where you're drawing it from. If you were drawing it based on yesterday's range, that 50% fib would be right there at the halfback, 42.23, and we found support just above. Daniel, yeah, let's take a look at the NQ. Sorry, I got to give that a second to load up. Boss man, thank you. Trading Donkey, I'm long, staying long. I think you're a little bit early. Little bit early. Market loves to backfill single prints. It's one of its favorite things to do. Skewball buyers exactly at yesterday's halfback. I don't know that it's the halfback. Like I said, this giant node, we've been, every time for the last week and a half, we've just grind and grind and grind when we get into this thing. So, I mean, anything could be support. This node is support. This node is support. This node is support. The halfback, the base of the single. You know what I mean? So it's like they're going to have to just slowly get through that because there's support all over the place in here. We're also testing the 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. So if that breaks, that will probably cause a little selling as well. Anita, good morning to you. Joe, Texas, yesterday's value, a magnet. I would say yesterday's kind of an unusual situation, right? Like anytime the market makes a big move, and it's based on something that happened in the news. So in this case, it was the Fed chair, talking yesterday, that gave us that big push higher. Anytime it's emotional, it increases the odds that the market will need to pull back and look for support. So it's not necessarily the fact that it was yesterday's value area. It's really more so that it's the base of those single prints. That's where the big emotional break started. Any big move the market makes, we call that excess. So say it pushes higher, that's excess. And there's two ways the market can balance that off. One way is it pulls back down with price, giving buyers a chance to get back in where they didn't get a chance before because it just rocketed up so fast. Or the other way is you can get excess and then you can balance it off at higher prices. So you just rotate around at higher prices and then you have the potential to break out. This appears to be the first. We are backfilling the emotional buying from yesterday, looking for support at the place where that emotion started. Scooball, I just assumed they were weak buyers at A-low. Yeah, when it was at halfback, fair enough. But halfback does often act as support. So that's not quite as weak as like a weak reference. But I hear you. J Trader, the Federal Open Market Committee. Thank you. Mo Gray, Charles, why is A color red, bar not red? A color red, bar not red. Oh, yeah, I don't understand the coloring inside the letters. Don't get too focused on that. This is like the settings were set up by Jim Dalton. I used his template. And you're right, they don't line up with the... Oh, you know what it is? It's within that 30-minute period. That's what it is. So in the A period, that would have been red. But then now that we've started to print the B period, it's just differentiating. So you see how in the... Like this is this 30 minutes volume. And you see how it lines up. The letters that are red with the candles. The letters that are white with the candles. So it's the volume within that 30 minutes. I long ago, like a while ago, I tried to just turn these letters all white because I don't pay attention to the colors, but it just felt weird to me because I've, been staring at it like this for so long. But I don't specifically look at the colors of the letters other than the green for the point of control. So, Donkey, where will you admit you're wrong? If we don't find support here at 42.09 and we head down to yesterday's lows, will you admit you're wrong? I mean, you say there's no reason to be bearish. I see no reason to be bullish. I'll get bullish after the support comes in. Once the buyers start to take over, I'll get bullish. But to me, this is bearish. Yeah, see, that's where we disagree, Donkey. I wouldn't want to buy up here and look for a bounce down here. And if I don't get it, get out. I'd want to wait and buy down here when you get the bounce. But that's just the differences between me and you. Jovis. I just come here for Charles versus Donkey. Yeah, dude, it's the biggest love-hate relationship of my life. Can't live with him, can't live without him. All right, so looking for support here at the base of those single prints. All right, well, that support seems to be breaking. So the next support is going to be around 41.90 with this big node of volume down here. There should be buyers waiting inside of here, inside of the area we rotated yesterday. So looking for support around 41.80 41.87. Jutsi? What kind of trading interface is this? It's called the Market Profile software. It basically just displays the same information as the candlesticks, but in 3 dimensions. So you can see, like if you look at yesterday's range, you can see where the market spent the most time by the most number of letters that are running across a particular price level. And then you can see where it brought in the most volume. So it just kind of gives you a 3-dimensional view of the market. The profile that you're looking at right here is today's range. So this one up here was the overnight. This one over here was yesterday. And this one is today from the open. And it's 2 profiles side by side that are identical to each other. This one over here is collapsed, so it looks like this. The letters will overlap each other. And then this one on the right is expanded out so that we can see each 30-minute period on its own. The volume that you see on the left side of the profile, that's the volume for the full day, whereas the one you see in the middle is just the current 30-minute time period. Amir, what does the green arrow indicate? That is a gap. So it's just programmed. That's a gap up for the overnight from the previous overnight. You don't need to worry about that one. I only pay attention to gaps when it's for the regular trading hours. Trading donkey. So we talked about this on the Discord, but there was a donkey trade on the weekly one time framing yesterday. A donkey trade on the weekly. Yeah, that would be like a swing trader move. David, feels like a typical Bart Simpson that started yesterday bearish. I don't see it like that at all. I honestly just see it that the market got itself overly long, overly fast. You know? The market is always trying to move to wherever, two-sided trade will take place. So if there weren't buyers who wanted to pay this price up here, the market has to pull down looking for buyers at a lower price. And it just so happens because it was such a big move yesterday, it had to make a big move lower. But it's really just the two-way auction taking place. Gonzalo, didn't you ask me this question the other day? Yeah, I'll give you a birthday discount. Just shoot me an email. But you got to prove it's your birthday. Jitten, look above and fail of the weekly. The weekly candle? I thought Talkie just said we didn't get above it. Yeah, it looks like we just missed getting above it. But it was a look above and fail of the current balance area, that's for sure. Look below, head to the opposite end. Look above, head to the opposite end. Look above, successfully break out. Look below, opposite end. Look above, opposite end. Failed breakout, opposite end. It ain't rocket science. Okay, so do the buyers start to step in now? We're into this big node of volume. We're back inside the area where the two-sided trade took place yesterday. So let's see if they can get those ticks back above the zero line. I'm back to neutral, as I think this is where the buyers will step in. Do you put significance on the new low tick for the day after the market opened? Do you put significance on the new low tick of the day? Oh, on the ticks chart, you mean? Not really. But what was more interesting to me was the failure to get back to the zero line. When I knew that overnight inventory was completely net short, it should have very easily been able to get back up to the zero line because it started all the way down here. But those overnight traders, they didn't close their trades. They stayed in them and new traders piled on. So, okay, we're getting some support here in the market. So now we look for, does previous support become resistance? So we're looking at this node that we had to grind through earlier this morning. And what was the base of those single prints? Do new sellers start to pile on here? And if they get through that, the next resistance will be the halfback at 42.20. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting to check the NQ. My poor NQ traders. I mean, exactly the same as the ES. Overnight inventory completely net short, opened only one tick above the opening price. New sellers piled on, backfilled the single prints. Yeah, same exact thing as the ES. So they too should find support in here if they're going to try to head back up looking for resistance. If like 13,036 breaks, look to target the node down here at 12,956. Thank you for the sub, Colin. Welcome. Happy to have you. Scooball, how would you trade if it's a V shape? I wouldn't buy it for the V here. I'd wait till it gets back through the halfback. Right, we got the push lower. We finally got a little bit of support. But then as soon as we push back up, we're starting to get resistance. So previous support becoming resistance is bearish. So I need to see a signal to get bullish, and I have not yet. But if they can get back above the halfback and get those ticks pumping, keep them above the zero line, yeah, I'd look for a rotation back up. The thesis, of course, being that we have now balanced that excess, right? This move was yesterday's excess. We did it. We balanced it. So now if they can get back up there and get going again, we can head right back up. Excess leads to balance. Balance leads to excess. Scooball, hard to find and enter with a stop loss. Yeah, that's why I say let the buyers take over, break through resistance, and then when that resistance becomes support, then you can get in with a good stop. At least the way I trade. I don't like to try. I'm not an innovator. I don't like to try to catch the very bottom. I'll catch the move down, take my profits, and then wait for confirmation before I go the other way, even if it's going to V-shape. Mateus, today will be the first time in the private stream. Well, we're happy to have you. Speaking of which, switching over in 10 minutes. If you're not a member of the Brigade, it only costs 10 bucks. That's like 30 cents a day. Join the party. Come hang out with us. What do you got to lose? Surely within an entire month, I'll say one single thing to save you $10 of losses or help you get $10 of gains. And if nothing else, you can listen to me and Donkey fight with each other for $10 of entertainment. MacVins, if you look at the daily chart, does it look like it's going to the opposite end bounce? Well, it does now, getting new resistance, new sellers. Yeah, it does look like it's going to go to the opposite end on the daily, but like I said, there's going to be some buyers waiting in here, surely. Oftentimes the last move before a breakout, it doesn't quite make it to the opposite end. So it'll like look above, fail, find support. That next one will be the breakout. So it wouldn't be, absurd for it to find support without quite getting to the opposite end. I wouldn't short it here again because I feel like the buyers are waiting. I feel like they're just lurking. But if we break 41.69, heading to the opposite end of balance to repair this weak reference would be in play. So if this support right here breaks, there is a target in repairing that weak reference we left behind. Greg H. Pirate, please describe what is a personal coaching session with you like? Well, you can try it for free. You're a member of the Brigade. If you go on to the website, you'll see there's an option to under the coaching tab for a 15-minute consultation. You just click on that, choose the time and date, and then go through the checkout process. It costs $0, but you have to go through the checkout process for it to book. And then you can find out. You already paid for it. You might as well take advantage. But yeah, it's basically just the way I do the coaching is it's just a conversation, right? I get on, a Zoom call and I basically just discuss with the person where are their strengths and weaknesses. And then I try to help them come up with strategies to develop those things. So for some people, it's like they're so early on in the process, they don't even understand what the market is doing yet. So my advice for them would be something like paper trade and, learn to ask yourself, what is the market doing? How good of a job? And keep a really strict trading journal to track when you're correct and incorrect. Or some people are like way further along in the process where they already kind of have a profitable strategy, but they just have like, long runs of drawdowns or whatever the case may be. So then it becomes, let's talk about your psychology. How do you make the decisions that you make? What are some exercises that you can do to help develop the skills that go contrary to whatever your psychological issues are? So for like a lot of people, they're not really aware of what part of their brain is making a decision, right? Is it your conscious brain or your subconscious brain that's deciding to get you in or out of a trade? And so for somebody like that, I might suggest something like meditation. I might say like, hey, why don't you try meditating every day for the next month? And then we'll talk again and see if learning to recognize when thoughts are coming in from your subconscious, like how they differentiate from thoughts that you're creating in your conscious brain. So it's a completely case-by-case basis, but it's just a conversation. So, but everybody who joins the Brigade, all you gotta do is pay $10 and you get access to 15 free minutes of conversation with me. Brett, don't call me Shirley. Airplane quote. Being prosperous, at what point would you have shorted the market today? At the open or later? Not at the open, right? Because at the open, we didn't know what was going to happen. We had opened inside the spike, right? This was the spike right here. And so spike rules tell us that is bullish. The fact that we had a spike up yesterday and closed in the spike meant that if we open inside it, there is high probability the market wants to continue that momentum. So there wasn't a short at the open. But what was interesting to me was the fact that the overnight inventory was completely net short and that they couldn't even pull back up into the overnight at all. That told me there were new sellers piling on right here. So that's what got me short. But I had to wait around for about 10 minutes to get the signal. Daniel, if we can get through resistance, when would you take a short trade when it breaks support? If we get through resistance, yeah, so essentially, like I said, I think this area here, okay, is going to have buyers waiting in it. We spent all this time 2 days ago bouncing around in here, the night before last bouncing around in here, and then yesterday bouncing around in here. So there should be people who want to do business in this area. But if that breaks, then that thesis is disproven. I'm wrong if that breaks. And so then I say to myself, okay, well, if I'm wrong and we're not getting support, what is probably happening? Well, then the next thing becomes the repair of that weak K period low at 41.47. So yeah, if this breaks, I look at this right here. Okay, we left behind a set of single prints in the B period, increasing the odds. The market will try to push up and backfill those single prints, and we'll look for resistance right there. It is high probability it will act as resistance because it's the halfback, the base of the single prints, and this big node of volume. So probably sellers waiting up there. And with that, I shall bid you all farewell. Wish you a happy Thursday. And like I said, there's a link in the description. It only costs $10 to join the Brigade. And then you can hang out all day. But if that's too rich for your blood, I'll see you here tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.